Hello and welcome to the second episode of the OverCope Podcast. I'm your host, Motor. I'm an Overwatch streamer and content creator, and as always, I'm joined by Mick and B.
Hello, everyone. Glad to see you. Hope you're coming from the last episode and you're ready for some more Overcope and a little bit of waffle. Got some things lined up for you today. It's going to be mostly self-chosen topics because Blizzard are currently on their holiday breaks and there is not a whole lot going on with the game. Next Tuesday, we've got some stuff. As always, this is recorded on a Wednesday. Goes up Saturday. Information may vary. Keep that in mind.
Mick doesn't want to lose his high tier coach status that he has acquired. So he has to give the disclaimer. He has to be like, in case I make any predictions that are completely wrong, I need to just like let people know that they are.
That's not it. That's not it.
That's
it. I mean, what do you mean high tier? It's not that high tier. It's I am a coach of this century, that's for sure. But
you are a coach of all time. I'm a coach of all time. I've coached people.
Exactly, you're a coach of all time. You've coached people. True.
What a king.
The flags.
What a king.
Exactly. Don't want anyone thinking I'm that's not it. The information may be outdated. Take it with a pinch of salt, okay? Take it with a pinch of salt.
He streams, plays, he coaches, he makes TikToks, does a podcast. What a chat. I'm talking about myself, obviously. All at once. I have actually done streams where I coached somebody, then went into playing. Nothing impressive about it. Okay. Anyway, the first topic of the day. Now, it's maybe a little bit of a strange topic, honestly, for a podcast, but I'll let Mick kind of explain it afterwards. But the shop of the week is the first topic, and just looking at the skins that have come out. And now, my opinions of skins are just, do they look aesthetically pleasing to me personally?
That's where we differ a little. There.
Yeah, because, well, you've kind of enlightened me a little bit as to what like a legendary skin should look like in an epic and a blue and stuff. But
I've as always categorized stuff because some sort of internal issue. I don't know.
So
right.
Funky Doomfist. Could you actually hold on first? Could you explain how you categorize them and how you decide which fits where in the scale?
Yeah, so for me personally, in order for something to be like a legendary skin, it needs to do like three things at least, right? It needs to have a theme that is like making sense, because some of the skins are just like a bunch of colors really, and there's no theme. The skin doesn't thematically do anything about the character. Details is another one. It's like, how many details, like actual model details, have we changed so that it fits this theme? Because sometimes it's legitimately like there is just no model detail added to the skin, and you can just see like this just was a cheap out, right? And then the last one is that it has to not just be like a recolor, right? Because if it's like a recolor, like a skin might be a really good skin, but then it's a recolor, that obviously doesn't constitute it having good detail and a theme, because we've already had something prior, right? So those are like the three things, right? And in my book, in order for it to be a legendary, it kind of needs to pass all of that in of itself. And then there's obviously, as always, like no individual cannot be a little biased. I have bias in what I like, obviously.
It's always the Widow skins and the Tracer skins, and I'm sure I've
the slander.
Those are all your favourite skins, though. Don't lie to me.
I may or may not have bought the Seraphim bundle, okay? But so did you.
Yeah, I did, but yeah.
Yeah.
It was a cool bundle.
Okay.
Look how much stuff you got. You got like 40 items from that. That was a worthwhile purchase.
It was 40 quid, man.
Yeah, okay. Valorant players are crying because they have to spend 40 quid and they get one knife. So
the prices in Valorant is outrageous compared to Overwatch.
I know, like I've had arguments with people about this, and like it really aggravated me because they seriously tried to defend that Valorant was better value for money. Anyway,
Oh no,
it's not a Valorant podcast, but I hate that game. We're gonna get slandered so hard.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I can take on the Valorant community single-handedly from my basement at a distance.
At a distance.
With the blinds down.
With the blinds down.
Please,
Keyboard warrior.
Please don't hurt me.
Valorant players aren't scary. I'm not scared of e-daters.
It's true. It's true.
Okay, Funky Doomfist. It's a legendary skin. It's classified as a legendary skin. Having explained your standpoint on what a legendary skin needs, the criteria it needs to hit, does Funky Doomfist?
I mean, it's certainly thematic. It is certainly not a recolor. I think where it falls down for me is the amount of detail in this skin is perhaps a bit lacking. Like we're not doing anything too crazy with him, which is okay sometimes. To be fair, it's okay. I don't know if I necessarily think this is an amazing skin or anything. I think it's like a it's not great, not terrible. It's like a midway skin, like maybe a 5 out of 10 in my book.
Yeah.
I
think okay, so just you always bring this up. It's the particles and stuff. I'm looking at a still image right now. I'm pretty sure you've got Overwatch open. Tell me, do the tassels move? Spin them around a little bit. Do the tassels move?
Yeah, they do. The tassels do.
Okay, all right. Well, I feel, you know what? Okay, before the podcast we were actually talking about this. I was saying I'm hating on this. The arm is really cool. The arm is really cool, to be fair, and I actually quite like the whole. It's supposed to be like 70s vibe, isn't it? I do actually quite like the 70s vibe. I think.
See, this is where I probably differ a little bit. Like, I'm just not really into like the whole like retro sort of like disco wave like kind of era at all. So.
I think it's really cool. I'm not saying I think it's a pretty skin. I think the arm is awesome. And the haircut as well. I love the haircut, like the afro. I think that's awesome. But
I think it's definitely gonna be like a top skin amongst all the memesters out there. I know my memesters, like my memester players. They're gonna love this skin. They are going to love this.
This is the new troll skin when you're getting absolutely pummeled, and you just
hit, and they
say that's what you're ever gonna hear, and that's the skin that you're gonna see as well. That and they love the karate skin. Those are the top two, I'd say, for the trollers who play Doomfist.
Yeah.
It's a good skin. Do you think it deserves legendary classification though?
No, I don't think so. I think it's an epic. I think it's very close. I'm so close to saying legendary, but it lacks something. I don't know what. I'm not a TLDR. I'm not a skin and model designer or anything like that. It lacks something. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't have it, right? Laziest take you'll ever hear from anyone. I don't know what it lacks, but it lacks something.
I don't know. I think like all of the detailing is kind of like put into the arm. I feel like there isn't actually that much detailing with the clothing or anything.
Yeah, the pants and the shirt is a bit lacking.
I get what you're saying about like it's lacking the detailing. I think, now that we start talking about though, before I said I feel like it's an epic skin, I feel like I'm actually kind of changing my mind here. I do feel like it deserves. I do think it deserves it because I don't know. There's just something about it. Like I keep saying it, the arm is just like the actual amount of detailing. If you spin around and you just focus on the arm, there is a lot of work that has went into making that look like something special.
Yeah, but like now go and take a look at like an epic skin and compare it to like some of the epic skins, right? and then tell me, does it definitely blow out all of these like by a mile? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't got Overwatch open, so I can't tell you. But off the top
Okay,
of my head, no, it doesn't.
what
It
else?
doesn't beat like Ice Wraith or something from Genji. So that's a fair point.
Also, like just like Cursed Warrior epic skin Doomfist. Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of it and send it to you on Discord.
Drop it to me. Okay.
Yeah, I'll drop it to you. Probably add that as well as a visual for people to compare. But we take it like all of those like Roby things, they move as well. That's an epic skin, yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, I see that. I'd say, but it's changed less about him as well, because this skin changes. It gives him hair, it gives him clothes and stuff, and the armors also.
True.
Yeah, you know, final standpoint for me is that's a legendary skin. That is a legendary skin, and that is maybe one of the better skins we've had. Maybe not aesthetically. I don't think necessarily it's the most aesthetically pleasing skin we've had since the drop of Overwatch 2, but we haven't had. I feel like the quality of skins has gone down since Overwatch 2, and I think this is a step in the right direction.
Disagree. I do think the quality has gone down 100%, but I think this is what quality down looks like.
Nah.
That's my take.
And probably last discussion on this one, but the Barista Surgeon skin, I'll give my opinion immediately. I think that's a really good Surgeon skin, and I think that is the only good Surgeon skin we have had. Aesthetically, it's the only good Surgeon skin that we have had since she has been a hero. So I'm glad that I won't buy it, but I'm glad that Surgeon players...
Do you know formal wear? Because I think formal wear was pretty good.
Not like I've definitely seen it, but off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what it looks like. But
okay, that's a different topic.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen any Sojourn skins, and I would remember this because I talk about this a lot. I haven't seen any Sojourn skins that I've been like, yeah, that's good. I would wear that. I think I used the Commando one, but it's nothing special. This I actually quite like, and it comes with a pretty good voice line as well. I like the usual voice line, so no, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. I think like the thing is they categorize this themselves as an epic, right? Whereas the other one was a legendary. And now we take a look at these two skins and what they actually do to the baseline character. I think it's even harder to justify the Doomfist Disco skin being a legendary. But to sidestep, what do I think of the skin? I think its thematic is really pleasing. There is some amount of detail. Obviously hair, cap, the whole like espresso machine kind of vibe on the back. It's a good skin. I think it's a good skin. I do think it's one of her better skins. I personally like casual wear Sojourn a bit more. And I also, forgive me, I forget the name, but I like the biker skin a lot more as well. That she has. I forget the name though.
I don't think I know that. Although,
no, yeah.
If we're going to be talking, I bring this up every single time we ever talk about skins. We've had 2 new Zarya skins since the release of Overwatch 2. Both of them are Battle Pass skins, and both of them were mid. I don't get why we're getting a new Doomfist skin when Zarya has not had a new good skin since Overwatch 2. It irks me.
I don't think Doomfist has that many good skins. Like I think, like maybe we disagree here, but I think there's a few good Doomfist skins, and that's about it, right? Which ones do I like? I like the Yotun. I like that.
Yeah.
I like Black Hand. I like that. That's pretty good.
He's just gonna go have a quick
Gladiator. I think is pretty good. Gladiator's pretty good. I guess about it. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we could have had like a bit more of like a side angle. I'm assuming it's also based on popularity. like I'm assuming they have
probably.
some sort of metrics for like how many people likes to play this hero across all game modes. And like, are we currently seeing a lot of like Doomfist enjoyment in the community? Is like Doomfist spiking a bit? Because people, like, the thing is, right, you have to remember as well, is like people will like get inspired to play like Doomfist for whatever reason. Maybe like the new patch changes, right? Or like they've seen a lot of like Zebra or Get Quaked on, like these like big frag reels on YouTube, and like in like periodically some hero is like spiking quite a lot in trend. And if it's like trending, not necessarily the most popular, but spiking in popularity at that time, there's like a lot of people are now starting to main that character. And Blizzard knows that when you start to main a character, chances are you'll buy a skin because like now you're inspired. Like you're on that Doomfist grind, you want a Doomfist skin, right? You want something for that. That is 100% in their metrics for like what skins do we try to push, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then a little bit of pick and choose, and a little bit of like, this is what we had concept art for, you know.
This is some ideas that we already had lying around basically, and now we're going to decide to mobilize it.
Yeah, also like making the skins probably takes a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like an instant thing. Except with those 3 colors, but no detail. I mean, what?
Which begs the question: why would we ever get an Orisa mythic skin? Doesn't make sense. Not gonna go.
She was really popular. She was really popular while they made that decision, probably.
Oh yeah, because she was OP and everybody hated playing her. Everybody hated playing her. Everybody hated playing against her. Why? It pains me so much. I don't want to talk about it. I mean,
no, but it makes sense. Like it makes I don't think we can claim it doesn't make sense, because before we had like Sigma.
If you're a robot, it makes sense. If you are a human being who looks at any sort of community post, name me 3 times. Okay, if you can go find me 3 posts of people saying that they enjoy playing Orisa, all right, then I will.
But the thing is, like, you have to remember, right? So you have to remember. First of all, it doesn't matter. The metric is how popular is it, right? And Orisa was played a lot, right? Like before the Sigma Bastion whole shenanigans, Orisa was played a ton, right? Obviously now we've moved even further away. Like they're a bit slow on this. And you have to remember as well, a lot of these posts about hating Orisa is a loud minority. There is a gargantuan amount of people who play this game super, super casually and probably actually don't really care. Right? Of course, the portion of the community that takes stances on this kind of things all agree that the Orisa matchups were not that fun, right?
Yeah.
All agree. So like I'm just saying, from like a Blizzard like non-elitist perspective, it probably made a lot of sense actually. Are we very, 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 very too late on it? And does it make sense now? No, not one bit. Not one bit. Also, just putting that out there, the whole skin looks a little bit like the Beetle skin that Orisa already had, but different colors. Like, I don't care for it. Like, there's nothing interesting about it.
It's not a good mythic. I saw somebody actually make a good point. They should don't do a mythic skin every season. Do it every other. Like, we get that whole point. The whole selling point is mythic skins. But, you know, it's okay if... I think everybody would agree would much rather get a very high quality mythic skin every other season than get, you know, because we have had a lot of really good mythic skins, and I think some of them are pretty good. The customizations have went down every season, or not every season.
It's random. It's random basically. Like how much it gets. It's up and down.
I'd say the first 4 all had a minimum of 10 to 12. I think it might have been 12, and now the last 4 have had at most 10. So it's like, and then this one's only had 5, and it was a boring skin anyway. Like I said, it's kind of very similar to the last one, to that Beetle skin, which isn't even that out there of an idea. It's just a Orisa with a horn. So
I don't think we should not. I think we should have a mythic skin every season. I think that's a good idea. The thing is, we will not like that way. We will naturally reach a point where we get a new hero every other season, and therefore, when we've capped out, we're going to naturally reach this point where it's going to be every other season because there is actually a hero to give it to, right? We're like far away from that. That is like way into the future. Like assuming that Overwatch is still gonna be like many years of live service to come.
How long would that take? What's the roster? It was like 29 or 39, isn't it?
Well, it's like every other month. So it takes 2 months per skin, which means 6 skins per year, right?
It's probably going to take about 5 years. Well, over 5 years.
So it would be a long process. Like I don't think we. So the thing is, right? We shouldn't not have mythic skins. My issue, and this is something I've like had throughout the lifespan of Overwatch 2. My issue is that legendary skins used to be what a mythic skin looks like. That's what legendaries used to look like. Obviously, you couldn't customize them, so the mythics do have that difference. I'm not saying that you've ever been able to customize legend, but what any given configuration of a mythic skin, that is what legendaries used to be in terms of quality in Overwatch 1. Yeah. In Overwatch 2, everything is just freaking flat and boring. Like where's the detail? Where's the like I don't even like hot take. I think the Orisa demon skin looks better than the Orisa mythic. It looks better. Yeah, you can't customize it, but it looks better.
I think this is easily the worst mythic skin we've had. And you know what? People were complaining about the Hanzo mythic. This mythic makes the Hanzo mythic look insanely good. Makes it look insanely high quality. Because I just like we keep saying, this is just like it was what you're saying with the legendary, where it's like you got the Ice Wraith Genji skin, and then they brought out the new one that's the lava version. And it's like those are clearly parallels, and you've just kind of recolored and changed the particle effect a little bit. It's the exact same thing now, where it's like you've just redone the beetle skin and then added some extra colors and stuff, and hardly given it any customization. Yeah, I wouldn't hate an every other season thing, because I get that the devs, obviously, it's, or not the devs, what would it be, like the
art design team?
Yeah, the graphic design team, or whatever, whatever department that would come under. You know, you can't just manufacture inspiration for a skin. That's not how it works.
So you're saying like every other season, but like put some detail into it, you know?
Yeah, really. But I think the issue is if they go to that and then like it turns out that the mythic skins are still poo, people are going to be upset, because they're going to be like, so we've waited 2 seasons for the new mythic, and you guys have given us like, again, just 9 customizations and a skin that isn't really that inspired.
Yeah. No, I get you. Also, just like another thing is like there's so many things I feel like Overwatch has just gotten so wrong, right? Like in terms of cosmetics as well, because the whole voice line thing, right? Where like they changed the voices of some of the mythic skins, yeah?
Yeah.
Doesn't work because only you hear it unless you get a highlight intro. People people don't cosmetics for themselves, right? They get cosmetics to show them off, right? That is the point, like it or not. I mean, obviously there's some degree of you liking it, right? So when Cyber Demon Genji has custom voice lines, that doesn't matter because the enemy Ana that I'm ulting hears no different.
Are you sure about that?
No, 100% sure.
Because I'm almost certain I've been in games with Ana.
No, it's a common known fact. It's a common known fact. It was talked about back then as well.
Really?
Yeah. The only way you can hear it is if it's a highlight intro. So if I get play of the game and I have that skin on, they will hear it. So first of all, that is like, you know, atrocious.
Yeah.
That like that removes the whole point. Now the next thing is like weapon charms. Like it's like so we've copied weapon charms. It's just gun buddies from Valorant, really. You know, like it's not a new concept. Been in many games.
Yeah.
The reasons weapon charms or gun buddies works in Valorant is that it's fairly common to pick up other people's weapons and they're still attached because there's a weapon buying system, right? There's no weapon associated with your agent. I think they're called agents. In Overwatch, it's a tiny little thing that people cannot see. How many times have you seen that weapon charm on someone and be like, oh, they have that weapon charm associated with this?
Yeah.
Because in Valorant, like there's weapon charms for like being like a higher rank. Like I think there's like a radiant weapon charm.
Yeah.
And there's even a riot gun buddy, which you can only get if you've had something to do with riot. Like either you've visited and like somebody has like, you know, helped you get it like, you know, in person, which because you're not technically allowed to have it. Or if you're like a creator of something, if you've submitted like I think like fan art or something like that as well, that has then been put into the game. But it's like it's like you in some way, shape, or form you have had an affiliation with Riot, and then you have that. So when you see that in game, like for example with Blizzard, it could be Blizzard employees, right? You're like, oh, this person actually works for Blizzard. Okay, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is they have meaning, right?
Yeah.
In Overwatch, they just don't. It's just a little thing on your own arm that, unless you're streaming to people, will probably not be seen by anyone, really. Kind of irrelevant.
It is irrelevant, but it's one of those things. I don't think it's that bad, because it's like...
But it is, because
I'll just be running around and I'll just be like, look, I'm playing Morga and there's a little pumpkin pie on my gun. Like,
I get that.
It's just...
I understand that, but what I'm saying is if we're going to copy the industry model, right, then at least understand why things are. Because there is still those examples of like 15 euros for a weapon charms. Like you've seen that scandal where it's like the weapon charm equivalent on the Blizzard store was like 5 euros, and in game it was 15. You could buy the real thing for less. Like all I'm saying is at least understand why this kind of cosmetic works, right? Like why do and like it or not, like a lot of people is gonna like ride the horseback of defense here and say like, no, actually, like that's not it. It's like I like my weapon charm. It's like nobody cares about other people's weapon charms. Like people do care. People do care. Like it has shown time and time again, like that people do care. You might not care. You might be in the elitist percentage where you probably don't care. But people definitely care about showing their cosmetics off to other people. They definitely do care. Like that as a whole community. That is just the way gaming is going. It's about having stuff that is prestigious, that you can show off. That's why fear of missing out is such a big selling point. That's why people will rush to buy Pink Mercy. And will bank on having Pink Mercy on their account. That's why Pink Mercy accounts goes for like 300 euros on eBay. That's because people do care.
Yeah.
They do care about being unique, right?
Yeah.
So don't give me that cap. Don't give me that cap. I don't care.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that was enough about skins. We're just supposed to talk about the weekly shop. This is what happens. We get on a topic and it was just like I cared about Zarya skins, so then it turned into weapon charms. and why Blizzard don't know how cosmetics work.
Should hire me for their marketing department.
Just hire new people for every department. Like, doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Okay. New hero courses. This is only. I'm gonna be completely honest. I feel like this is only in here because Blizzard haven't really given us any content.
It's only here because it's something that we can briefly touch on. I thought we could just touch on the concept of hero courses. It's not so much about the fact that there are new hero courses, but there are some new hero courses. So if you somehow didn't know that yet, by the time of Saturday, you know, now you can know.
Purely cosmetic, and I tried the Reinhardt one and I was like, this is quite boring and not very fun. I won't touch this again. That is the extent of my opinion on hero courses. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah, so the thing about hero courses is that if you've never touched the hero before, it might sort of like give you something. But it's also going to be a painfully slow way to learn any one hero. Like what, and when I say learn, I don't mean how to learn it like and play it competitively, because that is not what's happening here. You are learning what the abilities do, and sometimes not even, right? So one thing I do want to mention is, if you're completely new at this game and you're picking it up, ignore the hero courses. Like, actually, just skip them.
Just go practice range.
Yeah, practice range. Jump on some characters that you think look cool. Like, actually, just go. This character looks cool. Practice range. Press the buttons, and away into a quick play you go.
Yeah.
Like you're going to learn what your hero does so incredibly much quicker by doing that than going into hero mastery courses. I feel like hero mastery courses is just for like high, like top 500 one-trick pony people to have the highest score in the retrospective like hero. Like Frogger going hard on the Lucio, you know, Necros going hard on the Genji.
I feel like it's kind of it's got that appeal to it that like speedrunners get to play. It's like speedrunning a niche game or something, where it's kind of like, because it's a routine sort of thing. You do literally like have to finish the courses quick.
And create a quick a quick way, like a quick order of using abilities, or like a quick pathing, or like a skip or whatever, right? If there's such a thing, right? But it is more of a way for like Skisty to go and say, I have the highest Mercy like hero course. LH Cloudy or Flats to go and say, I have the highest Reinhardt, right? It is nothing short of actually useless at teaching you how the game should be played. I mean, it's going to do something, but I'm gonna argue, just go play quick play. Play quick play. Get some friends, play some quick play.
I completely agree with the this is literally every time anytime I've ever introduced anybody to the game, I've always just said, go in the practice range, and just click on the hero that you think looks the coolest. Like, I'll give you a brief description if you want. Be like, Genji, he's a cyborg ninja. You know, he pulls out a massive sword and chops people up with his ult. Like, that sounds cool. Yeah, of course it does. He's got a sword. And then just like play around with his abilities, and I'll, you know, just see who you think looks cool, learn the abilities in practice range, and go play the game. Hero mastery does not actually, shock horror, allow you to master the heroes. Playing the game helps you do that. So I just go do that personally.
I mean, Blizzard is still trying to figure out what a breakpoint is, so I don't know how their courses would do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing personal, just saying. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that is all that really needs to be said about that, though.
Yeah, not much to be said. I mean, for the people who, I mean, you can obviously see it on the screen, a little bit of a graphic and whatnot at this point as well. But yeah, currently the Lucio one is out, and we are getting more of them as we go, right? So May is January 9th. Diva is January 16th. Echo is January 23rd, and Genji is January 30th. Alright? So if you have one of those characters and you're thinking, I need to be on that leaderboard immediately, please do go and play them, and then you can always like tag me on Twitter and say, I did it. I watched the OverCope Podcast, and I decided that Hero Mastery was actually not useless, and I wanted to go and do something with it. Add me on Twitter, at Mick and OW.
You also have to include the fact that you're also top 500 to prove that it isn't useless. if you're ranked number 1 on Diva Hero Mastery courses, you can tag Mick, because Mick didn't specify. Don't bother tagging me unless you're also top 500. That's the policy I've got.
Oh no, I don't care. If you get like the world record in Hero Mastery, that's a displaying. I don't care.
Fair enough. I do care. So.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Next Tuesday, balance patch speculations is what we've got written down there. What do we think they're going to do for balance patch, basically? You seem quite excited to answer that, so I'll let you go ahead.
So what? Like, so my speculations are always derivative of what I think should happen, more so than what I think will happen, because I don't think anyone can predict Blizzard at this point. They have certainly been more predictable in the past, is all I'm gonna say. I think next Tuesday we're looking at Morgan nerfs. How substantial? I don't know. I could imagine a cardiac overdrive nerf, and I could imagine a combined damage per second nerf, like a little bit like we already talked about, where like doing like 300 plus damage per second up close is a bit of an issue. I don't know if we're going to get anything like compensating. I think we're just looking at flat nerfs.
Yeah.
I obviously think that what should happen is we should maybe nerf cardiac overdrive a little bit, nerf close range damage, so both guns at the same time. That needs to be nerfed a little bit, but then feed more into like a
single gun.
A single gun. I actually think there should straight up be a penalty damage-wise for shooting both guns at the same time, and I think there should be a buff for shooting one gun and then the other gun, like separately. I think there should be a buff to that, so that we are more looking at a tank that can take an angle, shoot backline, ignite backline, and then when they're ignited, if that isn't respected, then you can take the volatile gun and shoot the incendiary targets, and you can get good damage, like threaten kills on the backline in that scenario, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the playstyle should be, I'm gonna sit and hold space, and if the enemy tanks try to run past me, I look at him and I hold down both buttons and I do more damage than a Bastion. I don't think that should be it. I don't think that's fun. I don't think that's good game design. So I'm hoping that's what's gonna happen. If nothing, I think we're at least reducing the damage and the cardiac overdrive. I think that's what's gonna happen. Your takes on that?
On what you said?
Yeah, my takes. Your takes and my takes.
I think those takes are fine. Like, I would not hate that change. No, I think what you're saying is very good. Like I said, I quite enjoy like the style that he is now, but of course I don't have the tank player and he's OP. I like being able to get up close and brawl. I think brawl is easily the most fun style of play. Or diva poke. Diva poke is really up there for me. But Zarya brawl, Morga brawl, and diva poke are like my three personal favourites, I will admit. Completely irrelevant. Just I enjoy the brawl. I enjoy the brawl that he's got going on right now. But I could see myself still enjoying him as long as they don't completely ruin his up close potential. Like, as long as cardiac overdrive and double chain gunning when a tank is like 2 feet away from you, as long as that is still something that is like very clearly strong, because I think just turning him completely into a poke tank will be a terrible idea in my opinion. I think we've got enough poke in Overwatch 2. I think, when was that? We actually haven't had a dive tank since Overwatch 1.
Oh, we do have dive tanks, just none of them can play because Bastion and Morgan.
Yeah, but like I said, we haven't had a new dive tank since Overwatch 1.
Yeah.
Now, you said you didn't want to predict what Blizzard are going to do. I'm going to tell you what Blizzard are going to do.
Okay.
I feel like this is the more interesting angle for me to take on this, to be honest.
Hot takes incoming. Hot takes incoming.
No hot takes incoming. I'm going to tell you everything that's happening in this patch. Okay?
I mean, I did tell you what they were going to do and what they should do. I told you they're going to nerf cardiac overdrive and they're going to nerf his damage. I said they should compensate for long range damage.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
No, probably not.
So I told you what they're gonna do as well.
HP changes again. They're gonna swap. Did they do 100? They did 100 last time. They're gonna swap 50 armor back to HP, and then probably take 50 armor off or something, or take 50 HP off. Take away 100 HP. You know what I'm trying to say? He's going to lose 50 HP, and 50 armor. 50 armor is going to turn to HP. So I think.
So you think his total number is going to go down by 50? I don't think so.
I think if they're doing 600.
I don't think so. I think if they are going to, then they're just going to swap the armor back to HP. I don't think they're going to remove any HP.
I think they will.
Okay.
I'm not saying this is the right thing. I just think I know Blizzard at this point, and I think they're going to be like, we got the numbers wrong. Because they got the numbers.
You know
wrong.
what? Now where you've said that, right? That's actually a good take, yeah.
And it'll be
just
like.
Alright.
And then I think we're looking at like an angle where the over health change gets reverted.
Do you think the digging into sustain of the character? Probably, yeah.
I think that's all they're gonna do. I don't think they're gonna touch anything else. I am. You know what? No, there's one more thing. They'll change how long it takes for incendiary gun or the volatile gun to set somebody on fire. Those will be the 3 changes.
Yeah, you had it right.
They're not going to change cardiac overdrive, and maybe they change the charge. Maybe they change the charge so you can be hacked out of it again. I think those are the only things that they're going to do, because I don't think they understand what's going on with Morga, and he'll probably still be in a really strong spot, just not as strong. Whether or not the overhealth change, obviously this is all hypothetical. No, it's not hypothetical. I'm predicting the future now. Is it the mid-season? Will it be mid-season patch confirmed? We're getting a patch on Tuesday. Because if it's not confirmed, then actually I don't think we will get a patch.
It is the mid. It is like right in the middle of the season. So, like, is it confirmed that we get a patch? No, but if they're living up to the standard and promise of mid-season patches, it should be on next Tuesday. Yes.
All right. If this is directly middle of the season, then I think we'll get a patch. If it isn't, then I think no patch. Let me just make this clear now before I say any more. Now, there will also be other hero changes.
Yeah, I was going to say, we need to move away from Morga as well. We need to talk about other hero changes.
Junker Queen's going to get a change.
Okay, that's out of left field for me. Okay, go on.
Junker Queen's going to get another change. It's out of left field for everybody. Do you know why? Because they just they're just looking at Junker Queen going, let's change something. Like somebody has just been like, I want to change my queen, and because do you remember what happened in the last patch? They were just like, we'll reduce scrap gun spread by 8%.
Yeah, but I think that was a fine change.
But it just doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't. If we're gonna change it here,
I disagree there.
Come on now.
I disagree though. I think that change actually did make sense. I think it specifically gave her a slightly better chance in a poke heavy meta. It made so that landing your gun is a little bit more viable. I actually think that was a good change. I don't think it was game changing necessarily.
No, I don't.
But
I hate those changes.
Sometimes non-game changing changes is okay. Sometimes it is okay to nudge things. The issue is when there's like a massive thing in the game that is an issue and we're not addressing it. And then when we do try to address it, we address it with the tiniest little changes, right? Instead of just actually going at it. That's definitely an issue, right?
Shout gives 5% more speed. I think we're looking at some like practically cosmetic change for Queen, because they actually really like doing this, because that's how we ended up with a quite strong Queen. Was like every single patch was like just here's a little bit extra to put on top of the Queen.
Yeah, but Queen also did suffer a lot, right? Like Queen was also suffering a lot from a nerf to her like initial overhealth was a lot more, right? And then also Kiriko was released.
Yeah.
And Queen saw a plummet, and their way to fix that was to like like slightly over buffing her at the time. I think now it's like it's not that Queen isn't strong. It's just there are stronger things in the game right now, right?
Yeah.
So okay. I respect the hustle. I do. I really do. Do I have any way of like feeling like that's correct or not? I don't necessarily know. I don't think we're going to touch Queen necessarily.
I think Blizzard devs are stupid, and I'm not saying that this is what I think should happen. I just think Mick knows what should happen. I know what will happen because Blizzard are idiots. Okay.
Nah. Okay.
Now,
Maybe.
The next change, Winston is also getting a cosmetic change again.
That one I agree with more. That's definitely happening. We are doing something stupid like 100 extra health on his bubble. Like
yeah, that is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, do you know what it'll be?
Yeah.
Do you know what it'll be? They changed the Tesla cannon range, like primary fire Tesla cannon range. They increased it not that long ago. I think they're just going to decrease it again. Like for no reason, Winston's going to catch some stray. That doesn't really matter, but they'll just change it, or it'll be the ignoring armor HP, which I hate as a change. Personally, I think that's just.
It just does nothing for him.
It doesn't make sense either. It doesn't. Why should he be the only person in the entire game to ignore armor?
I mean, more than that, it does nothing because like unless you are shooting tanks with Winston, which you
makes him a
be.
little bit more viable against Bastion in a way.
No. Bastion exists and Winston can't do anything. Like it doesn't matter. Like because think about it. How does Winston get neutral? Like how does Winston neutral? But like going in and contesting, yeah.
Yeah.
So if Winston goes in and contest, well, okay, here's a very simple thing you do, right? As a Bastion, just wait for it, press shift, and there is no skill on that character that will make you win against Bastion in form. Doesn't happen. Now, Bastion, like if Winston can't go in, right? If Winston can't go in, what neutral does Winston get? Nothing.
Yeah.
If Bastion can't press shift because we're waiting for it, what neutral does Bastion get? Well, mine still does a lot of stuff, and his poke damage is not half bad.
Yeah.
So Bastion gets neutral, some neutral. Winston does not.
Yeah.
Like it's.
There's something else. Like I'm just feeling. There's one more tank change in there. There's one more tank change in there.
Do we think like we're looking at the tanks and Blizzard is like, oh, it's unbalanced amongst the tanks right now in terms of picks, so we need to shuffle the tanks around instead of looking at like no, but like I don't think we need to shuffle the tanks around, right? Because like it's not like all of the tanks are like fairly good right now. There's a few ones that are not good. The issue is that like the power creep in tank is starting to look quite severe, right? Whereas like we keep buffing tanks.
I agree.
And then as a subsequent like issue of that, like we keep buffing supports because the supports needs to be able to keep up and not get demolished by the new tanks. And like there's some tanks like, because the thing is, right, is Winston isn't bad at what he does. Currently he's just not allowed to do it. If we live in a world where there's no Morgan, no Bastion, Winston dive is probably quite viable.
I hate it.
Like even like good.
I hate it.
Right? But like it's not like we don't need to buff Winston.
No, we just
need to think as certain matchups we need to even out a little bit more.
I agree.
Which you do by changing playstyle changes and not
hitbox size reduced by 12%, 11%. That's the final change for me.
Making ball smaller.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they will probably touch ball, to be fair, because he's been out for so long.
They won't though, because I have so little faith in this company. Because and I've ranted about this on my streams a lot, and I rant to Mick about this a lot. Nuke the tanks. Nuke them. There are actually 6 tanks on the roster who I genuinely just think we should just look at them and just be like, Thanos snap, you're gone, bye bye. and then there's like 3 tanks on the tank roster who we can look at and be like, you guys can go have some fun now, okay? And to be fair, you made a good point about this. I always say that I think Reinhardt, we haven't had a Reinhardt meta in years. Maybe Rein doesn't need a buff, and maybe we just need to nerf other things. I think they won't do it in mid-season, but we're just not going to get anything severe in a mid-season patch. I'm sure of that, which is why I'm saying silly things like ball hitbox reduction and stuff. Like,
okay, well, I'm not as emotionally invested, so I can keep my chill and still talk about stuff.
It's just no. Listen.
I'm not emotionally invested at this level at all.
Listen. Okay.
And this is a guy defeated by rank right here.
This is not a guy defeated by rank. This is a guy who just like, I played Winston so much and I like despised my life. I'd turn on Overwatch and I'd be like, yay, I'm gonna go play Winston now. And
I did watch you the other day on Havana. See an Ana get life dripped out, and then you shatter the Ana, and then you start swinging at the Ana, and the Ana doesn't die because Library was still healing her, and then you walk back, and it was like, yeah, tank experience right there. Nothing happened in that interaction between you and 2 supports. Nothing happened.
I forced out 4 cooldowns in our ultimate, and we lost the fight. That's what happened right there. I remember that.
It's still value though, to be fair. Like the thing is, like a lot of people don't understand that the value is forcing cooldowns, whether or not that's fun. It's not fun, but that is what you do.
When you lose the fight anyway, it just kills you.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I get you.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's the side stuff. But I think support changes. I'm gonna say what needs to. Okay. Actually, no, I'm not gonna say what needs to happen to support because we can talk about that in the next topic. Do we think there is going to be any like random DPS changes?
Oh, okay. Well,
like what is the random DPS change? What is the like we're not predicting what's happening anymore. We're just waffling at this point. But let's just speculate. Let's throw in the wildest of speculation, right?
I think we're gonna see. Honestly, okay, I don't think Blizzard cares about DPS. So I think I don't even care about DPS, to be honest. I just want to put this out there. I think it's zero support changes. We will have some support changes. They just will be, again, pointless. I have lost so much faith in this company. I know how much of a doomer I sound like right now.
Broken man. It's okay.
They're not going to change anything about support majorly, so nobody get your hopes up. DPS. Junkrat Trap does 10 more damage. Like that. This is the kind of angle that we're looking at. I promise you, okay? Next week, when we record this podcast and we've seen the patch notes, and they're all like 10 damage changes to every hero, or hitbox changes, or like 1 second off a cooldown timer, okay? You're going to look at me and you're going to go, yeah, that guy was probably quite smart, realizing that nothing was going to change here. Because
you're building yourself up on a pedestal here, man. I'm not gonna help you here.
It's gonna happen. Like I promise you. I promise you.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not that sure.
I am.
I'm not that sure. I do agree that the changes are probably gonna be like small, but I don't know what they're going to be. But I also have faith that we're going to see some changes that make sense. Some changes that will change stuff.
Well,
there's also something to be said, right? Just quickly, right? There's something to be said about tanks, because we currently have 12 tanks, yeah, and you can only ever play 1. So is it realistic to ever reach a point where all of these are viable? Not really. I just think a few of them are overshadowing to the point where it's not healthy at this point.
I think having like
it's not going to be possible to have. Yeah.
Having 2 to 3 viable at once is more than plenty. Obviously, I don't think just having 1 viable is ever good.
I mean, currently 2 to 3 is viable, so.
Okay, we say 2 to 3 is viable. 1 is the correct choice in every situation. 2, are the correct choice if you haven't got that hero, which is the issue with tank right now.
I don't know if that's even true, really. If you take a look at the leaderboard, I actually think a few tanks are being used. I don't think the issue is that there's a lot of tanks that aren't playable. I think the issue is that there's like 2 or 3 tanks that are struggling a lot right now.
Yeah.
I think it's overshadowed by some really strong meta drivers, right? But if you take a look at the leaderboards, it's not like Morga is rising up by the day, right? But we anticipated that in our last podcast. That was to be expected, right?
Yeah.
But there's still a bunch of like Roadhog in there. There's a bunch of Sigma in there. Even some Ramatra in the top 10, right? Is being played. Yeah. There is the odd Diva. There is the odd Sire. There are some Queen enjoyers, right?
Slay Queen.
Is the diversity lower than what you'd probably want? Yes, 100%. I think more diversity is healthy, for sure. But it's not like other stuff isn't being played, right?
Yeah.
I just think it's like the gradient is right. It's steep right now. It's steep, like 2 or 3 tanks like right at the top. Then there's a mid like bunch of heroes, like maybe like 3 or 4.
Yeah, and then they
that
fall off the cliff.
Can use, and then there's like 3 where it's just like lol.
Yeah.
Monkey. Ha ha ha. Ball. Ha ha.
Reinhardt?
Doomfist, if you're like honestly, Doomfist isn't nearly as like there's more Doomfist in top 500 right now than Ryan.
Yeah, well, I have seen actually a lot of people saying that Doom is probably one of the better picks to deal with Morga.
Is that you can get value on the backline without getting demolished because of like your movement specifically and also your block, right?
Yeah,
does
you
actually
get out so quick.
Does actually allow you to. It's not that you're good against Morga, it's that you can live against Morga and then do harm to his backline.
Yeah.
You know. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Whereas Ball starts the pile driver animation and Morga turns around and pops both chain guns and you've already lost half HP by the time you've touched the ground.
Yeah, plus other like crowd controlling abilities from the backline and whatnot as well. Yeah.
I say this a lot. My opinion is the way that we should go about changing the landscape of Overwatch every season. I think every season we should have a major change. And I think the way that they need to start looking at it is, when was the last time we had Rhine meta? 2019? Goats was probably the last time it was actually Rhine meta. Where
It's been Rhine since, but yeah.
Pardon?
There has been Rhine since. Because modern Brawl came after Goats.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so 2020, early 2020.
And we've had. I mean, early Overwatch 2, there was some people using Reinhardt. It kind of fell over to the. No, I mean like actually people like doing it.
London Spitfire aren't actually.
And Reinhardt was I mean the professionals. Reinhardt was definitely used more early Overwatch 2. Like, and I'm not saying meta, but viable and usable and doing quite well across the board.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things, like early on, people played a lot of Reinhardt, but then quickly people figured out that Sire was like a little bit too silly with her cooldowns. Yeah. So I don't know. It's been a while. Like, I just want to say, like, he hasn't been like completely unusable.
I get
like,
that. You always make this point, but my point is always being viable and being meta is so different, and it's like there has been a very, very long period now where it's like playing Reinhardt just doesn't feel like, now it just feels silly to pick him to me. Like, I look at him on the roster and I'm like, yeah, he's fun, but I would never think about like picking him because it was Winston meta for so long, and it was like you could just dismantle him, and it was like Sig Poke. We had Sig Poke as well, just dismantled him. We had Doom, like we like. I think they should look at it and just be like, it's been so long since we've had a Rhine meta. These are the top 5 tanks right now. Let's nerf them heavily, and let's buff Reinhardt. And then like, when was the last time we had Reaper in the meta? Like, look at the top 6 performing DPS. Let's nerf them. I say 5 specifically for tanks, by the way, just because there are 5 tanks who are OP right now, who even if 3 of them got nerfed, the other 3 would probably end up staying meta over Reinhardt anyway. Look at
creep.
Pardon?
Power creep.
Yeah, power creep. It's a very, because like we said, if you nerf Morga and Sigma and Orisa and probably Ram as well. Am I missing someone? I'm missing someone from that list of people who have been power crept. Winston will just go back to being meta because he never actually got nerfed from the point where he was meta for a full year of Overwatch League. For a full year, we only had Winston dive.
I do agree that changing up the meta every now and again is a good thing. I don't think we should look at like doing it every season.
No, that's probably a little bit much.
I do agree though. I think it would be okay to just make radical changes to the meta, especially because it has become a stale meta where it's like the way you actually play the different metas, right? Quite similar. Like the Orisa to like Sigma to Morga, it's like it's not that different really.
Yeah.
Like it feels the same, right? Make like a playstyle change at least, or make a radical change of like what will be meta for a bit. I don't think it's reasonable to like have everything be balanced, and I also don't think like Reinhardt was okay when it was the like dive meta. Like I don't think it was that bad at all really. That was very very playable at that time.
Like
now not so much perhaps.
Like I said, there's a difference between playable, and it isn't just the Reinhardt. To be clear,
But
I always just pick on Reinhardt because
the meta doesn't really become the meta before the highest end anyway. So it's like, who are we speaking about here? Because the meta doesn't really become the meta before like it's like a gradient, right? Like where the higher skill level you go up, the more meta the meta is, kind of, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you go down or like into Platinum, Diamond, and Masters, it's like it's not really meta. Like it's no such thing. You can get to top 500 with everything, really, right?
Yeah.
It's got more effort on some characters than others, 100%, and you have to learn unfavorable matchups a lot more than other characters. So I don't think, as long as the character is like just not having these like, I actually cannot play my character into this, right? Like Winston in Morga Bastion, it's just not doable, right? Like you cannot do it.
Watch me.
Or at least the skill expression from the monkey
has to be insane.
And the incompetence of the Bastion and the Morga.
Yeah.
Has to be.
I agree completely, and it. So yeah, just to kind of give a bit of a conclusion to my point is just, I think we should be switching it up a little bit more. Like things feel stale now, and that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop playing the game, but I also realise that I'm one of the more hardcore players in the sense that like even when I'm not really having fun, I'll still turn on the game and play because I don't want to lose what I've gained in terms of skill. So, and there are definitely days where I turn on the game and I'm just like, I don't even want to be on this game right now, but because I know that if I don't use it, I'm going to lose it. Basically, I need to be here. But a game shouldn't feel like that. It should feel like not every time I turn on the game, you turn on the game should be completely different. But it shouldn't feel like it's the same game now that it was 3 seasons ago, sort of thing.
Obviously, not a live service game though. Not a live service game, that's for sure.
Obviously that's kind of changed now that Morga is meta. But like we went from Orisa, or did we go Ram, Orisa, Sigma meta, and it's like those three are very close to each other. Like you said, we had a lot of Winston, and then there was a bit of ball crept in, and then.
We just need a dive meta. We just need a dive meta, you know. Check it up. We need a dive meta. I mean, it arguably is a brawl meta right now.
That's true. That is true. That's probably.
I mean, it's not really because it's a brawl meta. It's just because Morga works the best on like really close quarters. So
yeah,
it's some sort of hybrid. I don't know. I would say Morga is more of a brawl tank than he is a poke tank. But it's like most Overwatch 2 heroes, they have hybrid dynamics, right? So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just my thoughts. So I think we should have radical changes every now and then, as opposed to what we are seeing all of the time, which is like these half changes to heroes. Like actually, after Winston stopped being meta, I remember the patch after Winston had stopped being meta, and again only because Orisa just power crept further up the ladder than he was, and Bastion also became meta. He got a buff because they obviously saw his pick rates going down in the higher ends and stuff where he had been played. So I think I get that it's like in lower levels, in lower elos, Winston probably wasn't doing that well, so they didn't want to nerf him into oblivion. But at the same time, I feel like there isn't actually a split between are we gonna nerf around high elo and low elo. It's just we're gonna nerf and buff around low elo, and there's very little consideration to the higher end of the game, which is really unfortunate. I think it's a crying shame that that's the way that it gets looked at now.
Yes, I think with that though, we should probably move on to the last topic.
Yeah. Is it the last topic?
I mean, it last two topics at least.
Yeah. So we talked about the general state of the game, the state of support. We kind of like already talked about the power creep on tanks, and it's the same thing with supports really. Is the power creep that supports have had, where they've kind of just progressively got stronger and stronger, and not really seen many nerfs. And I feel like a lot of people are starting to feel like supports are very OP. I mean, like you said, I solo shattered an Anna, and she just didn't die because one life weaver was pocketing her.
I mean, that's not necessarily the issue, to be fair. I mean, there is also like something about your team not being alive behind you at the time. Yeah. But like, I think the fact that it's like life grip already out, you actually waited for life grip to shatter. You shatter her, you swing on her, and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna speak to that specific case because I think it's done different in that case. But it is like an appetizer for some of the things I think are wrong with support. I personally think. So here's the way it goes. DPS have been neglected because early Overwatch 2 we had to buff tanks because now there's only one, so we had to compensate a little. And then very quickly, Blizzard figures out, okay, stronger tanks means that backlines get old. Okay, how do we fix that? We buff the backline. And now it's been like a back and forward, like power creep on tank, so therefore we have to buff support. Power creep on tank, so there we have to buff support. So now we have like really strong tanks and really strong support, right? In my book, it's okay to have supports be really, really strong at the peak. The issue is that I don't think there's a lot of skill expression with a lot of it. So for me, it's always a matter of skill expression. So for me, I don't think there's any issue with Suzu being strong, with Lamp being strong, or with Nate being strong. But what I think we need to do is we need to have some of them be a skill expression, and not a one button does it all, right? Kind of like an ability.
Yeah.
So specifically for me, the 3 supports that I think need some kind of changing right now is Baptiste, it's Anna, and it's Kiriko. And then you might question why Kiriko is there, because Kiriko doesn't actually have that high of a win rate. I think it's increasing a little bit with Morga. I think a lot of people like to enable Morga with a Kiriko right now.
Yeah.
But not that that's really even needed, to be fair. I think Baptiste does the same, if not better. I think the issue is, like, for example, currently Suzu does 4 things. It heals, it cleanses, it gives you intangibility, and it gives you invulnerability. I think we can remove some of that. I think we can remove, like, intangibility and invulnerability. So it's just a heal and a cleanse. And that cooldown is still a strong cooldown. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then we could maybe compensate a little bit. Maybe we could nerf the cooldown a little bit, right? And then people will say, oh, but then Anna's just gonna be really strong, like really not playable or whatever, right? Because then now Kiriko has, now Kiriko could just cleanse the nade all the time. What do we do about Anna then? I was like, yeah, currently, okay. The thing about Suzu was like the burst healing on it is crazy high. Like, it is a strong enough heal on itself, especially if we allow like the cooldown to be lower. With the apostrophe, just saying like that we don't have intangibility, so you can be booped around, you can collide with things, you can be targeted by things. And you're not invulnerable, so you can take damage throughout the whole interaction, right?
Yeah.
There's no iframes, right? Then we can have a lower cooldown, a higher heal. That's okay, because the heal is crazy as it is right now. Like, how much does it heal if you're cleansed? Do you actually know?
It's 50 HP base, plus 60 for every debuff you cleanse. Pretty sure it does like 110 heals if you're.
No, it's not perk. It's not perk. It's 80 no cleanse, 110 with cleanse.
Oh, okay. I got those numbers very wrong.
Yeah, and it's not perk cleanse, but like 110 instant healing, and then maybe like a lower cooldown than 15 seconds would be okay if it didn't come with all of those other things. Like, the only reason this has to be such a high cooldown is because it comes with so many things, right? It's just such a good cooldown.
Yeah.
And then there's also the balancing battle between Anna and Kiriko, right? Which, my answer to that would be like, right now we have anti-nade, right? 12-second cooldown, does 60 damage, does 60 healing. Obviously, it does the splash, and then you anti-nade it. My lead on this ability would be the fact that it's so easy to land. It's a 4-meter area of effect. And I do believe that it's 4 meter. So if you're standing within 4 meters of the nade.
Radius or diameter?
I don't know actually, but I'm assuming that is a diameter and not a radius.
That has to be diameter.
To me doesn't need to. Yeah, to me doesn't need that.
To anybody doesn't.
Which is a lot still.
Yeah.
My grudge with this is that it's so easy to land on a tank because you can just throw it on his feet.
Yeah.
It's so easy to land on often either like a DPS and a support, or a DPS and a DPS, or a support and a support. Like two squishies, right? And like the skill expression is not there. Like, you stand on an off angle, maybe you have a high ground, you throw it. If you land it, you win, right?
Yeah.
If you don't land it, maybe not, right? I don't think that's fun for the Ana. Like, I don't think it's fun for the Ana that her entire gameplay kit centers around one thing. So instead, like, make it a 6-second cooldown, so that you can get more nades out into a fight. But then reduce some of these numbers, right? Make it so that it's a 2-meter radius, 1-meter radius. Make it a skill shot. Make it a skill expression. The Ana actually had to hit you with this thing, right?
Yeah.
But she has more opportunities to hit it, right? Make it a higher skill ceiling.
Would you
right?
want... the effect could not last that long either. I think like 1.5 to 2 seconds is probably fair.
Right now it lasts like, at least the Vicky says 3.5 seconds, right? So like make it like 3 seconds or something like that, right?
If you're throwing
Also,
it out
like,
every
but-
6 seconds, it can last 3 seconds.
Hmm?
If you're throwing it out
Oh,
every
yeah,
6
no,
seconds...
yeah, I know. It's lasting 3.5, so maybe reduce like by 0.5, yeah?
Yeah, but you just said if it was on a 6-second cooldown. You couldn't have it on a 6-second cooldown, but have it last for 3 seconds.
Why not? It's a skill shot now. We're talking about a version of it where we have made it a skill shot. I mean,
I'm aware,
the point is,
but 3 seconds is just too long. Imagine how oppressive that would feel every 3 seconds. So literally, if you got hit with that,
yeah, okay,
you can peek for 3 seconds, and then you get 3 seconds of opportunity to peek, and then if it's a Nutsana, if we're playing Twilight, okay.
Right now, but what you're not understanding is right now, it is it's a longer cooldown, but it's way easier to land.
Yeah.
This version is actually less oppressive.
I think
like way less.
I think that would be acceptable if it had to be direct impact, and then
impact.
And then you give it the caveat that it does splash if you land
on direct impact.
On direct impact. So
see, I was thinking about that one as well, but I think one of the things about having to land direct impact is like there's a lot of things in the game making that a little bit more difficult. Like, for example, and Ramatsu shield and Reinhardt shield, and I think there's a lot of things in the game making that like. I think it's okay to have it be a splash thing that you can land off an off angle. I just don't think the radius should be as big. I think that's going to be my 2 cents, right? That's just my 2 cents. And also, as I said, this would also pair really well with more engaging support gameplay that doesn't feel as oppressive, because now Kiriko blends like there's going to be more ability exchanges, but the ability exchanges have less impact, right? Like it's not like be all end all, because right now it's a 12-second nade and a 15-second Suzu. They come up once or twice in a fight, and they are changing the outcome for the whole team.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know about the direct thing. I thought about the direct thing too. I think that might be a bit much asking, but certainly nerfing the radius a lot and decreasing the cooldown is. I think those are some good steps in the right direction. I don't know exactly what's good and what's not. That's what playtesting is for. Blizzard, you should do it. Give us back experimental. That's it. Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more.
I think there's more than one way. I think there's more than one way of like fixing that. Like,
yes, there's a number of ways that could work. Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think definitely reduce the cooldown. I don't think that's a bad idea. There's a few numbers changes. I think it's just a lot of numbers changing with the supports, to be honest, because that's all that's happened. It's just like we keep saying, it's a power creep of everybody's numbers have just gotten so much like the deal just keeps getting sweeter.
Not what I'm saying though, is that's not what I'm saying. It's not. This is not just a numbers change. What I'm suggesting, right? Like it's to change the expression of the ability.
Yeah.
Right. Like specifically the nade, for example, right? Yeah. Like you could do the same with Suzu, like make it less splash, right? Like make it less splash, make it more frequent, make it do less, make it more frequent. Because that is not just a numbers change. That is a significant. Now you actually have to change the way you think about this ability. Because plus 2 seconds or minus 2 seconds on nade cooldown really only changed one interaction, which is the Suzu interaction.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was the whole thing that did. Before we start spinning off, there is one more thing. That lamp. needs to change. I think Bat Lamp has been a stable strong for a long time. I think it needs to change in functionality. I don't think it should give you an actual immortality effect. I think what it should do is when you reach that sort of like percentage threshold where the lamp will keep you alive, the lamp itself should break after maybe like 200 damage. So it works a little bit like a Sire bubble, but a Sire bubble you can place in cover nonetheless.
Yeah.
And therefore that is okay.
So you're coming round to my idea.
And yeah, so I'm coming around to it a little bit. The cooldown would also have to not be 25 seconds.
Yeah, obviously.
Or
that could probably go down to 15 or something. That could be a more than once a fight. If it's
if you make it so that the lamp has like 100 or 200 HP, like max, and like what I'm thinking as well here is like when you're damaging like Morga in lamp, that damage instead of going into Morga goes into the lamp, right? That's like we're deflecting it into the lamp,
so
right?
Once you reach the 10%, once you're at the threshold, any damage.
Also, by the way, gives you enough time to actually like maybe burst heal up your tank, so it's not that bad if you place it in cover, right? It's just certain like really high damaging things you cannot just face tank anymore.
Yeah. Like if a Roadhog pins you in a corner, he doesn't have to then turn with his whole hog. He doesn't then have to turn to shoot the lamp. He can just keep shooting you, and the lamp will eventually pop, and then he can finish you off, sort of thing.
Maybe even if there's like 2 supports on that hog, maybe the hog doesn't even die. Maybe if hog like shoots like Morga, right? And Baptiste is able to like sustain that with the lamp, and maybe also there's a Kiriko involved or something else, right? Maybe there's a chance that we still save this person. It's just not a like as guaranteed effect, right?
Like I've just thrown this lamp behind the corner that you realistically can't peek, and now the person that you were about to kill is unkillable.
The cooldown would definitely have to be a lot lower, though. I don't even think with that weakened version of the ability, I don't even think 15 seconds would be enough. Because 15 seconds is once, maybe twice a fight, right?
Yeah.
Probably twice most fights, but like around once or twice, right?
Yeah.
It might change actually. With that kind of cooldown, might change, right? But
that's tough.
Maybe like 10 seconds where we're looking at 2 or 3 users, right? But again, this also does a thing, right? It does the thing where it's like you want to optimize multiple situations. It makes the gameplay more dynamic, which I think is really important. Because I don't think, right? Here's the thing, right? I don't think anyone really finds characters annoying if you know that you lost because it was a skill difference. They actually just like did something, they played out of their mind, right?
Yeah.
I think the issue stems from I just couldn't do anything and I fell over.
Yeah. Like you just again going back to the personal example of like I land a shatter on Anna and then it's just like an ability that pulls her into a safe position and makes her invulnerable, or like you go into a backline and you land a massive shatter, but because you didn't hit Kiriko, she's cleansed your shatter, she's healed everybody up because they were low, she's made them impossible to get booped and pinned and stuff. Like it feels really harsh, basically, like getting so much value and then just having it all stripped away from you because somebody pressed one button, and that one button is just tied to the strongest ability in the game.
That being said, though, just so that people don't think that we're like tank apologetics or anything like that, just going back to that, if these like kind of changes were to come in on support, we also would have to definitely nerf the most power crept tank.
Like I said, let me get the image up of all the tanks. These are the tanks that I would suggest we nerf. Obviously Morga, that comes without saying. Orisa, Ramattra, Winston, Sigma, Diva. On the fence about Junker Queen. I think those 6 for me easily get nerfed. Junker Queen maybe.
I don't think so. I think that's too much. I think we take off of the top.
Those off the top. You don't think that if supports get heavily nerfed.
That's not the top. That's half of the roster, my friend.
Yeah, but so you don't think that if we giga nerf support,
that's the half of the roster, my friend.
But if we nerf those supports, okay,
I think. So here's what I think. I think we take off of Morga, we take off of Sigma, we take off of Orisa. I agree with that.
Winston?
Now we're reaching. No, because like the thing is like he is still having like I'm not saying we've like smashed these characters into the ground. There are still now characters in the game that are making the match more skillful. I'm saying we put these characters down to a level where they can match, not outplay, right? I don't think we need to nerf all of it. I think there's certain characters, maybe Ramacha, right? I definitely don't think we nerf D.Va. There is no shot you thought D.Va was good. Like, D.Va is such in an identity crisis in Overwatch 2 of what she actually does. And every single thing she has a niche for, she gets outperformed in. So it's like, no, we do not nerf D.Va. Queen maybe, Ram maybe. Ram probably needs a little bit of a going. Because we've only giga-buffed him because he's having a hard time, like, doing his thing against a lot of really, really strong poke tanks, right? So he ends up, like, blocking a lot, so we give him some more armor, hoping that we could, like, maybe increase his neutral a little bit that way, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we nerf D.Va. I don't think there's an angle to D.Va being too strong. I don't think we nerf Winston either. I think we bring rest down. We need to bring the rest down to that level.
Yeah, but I feel like Winston's gonna be too strong. I just like, I can just.
That's a question of tuning.
Yeah.
That's a question of tuning.
I think there are some tanks who we can easily say like D.Va had.
But like, what are you basing that off? Are you basing it on what you think Blizzard would do, or what Blizzard should do? Because if we're thinking what Blizzard would do, then they probably would just make Monkey run rampant, right? But what I'm saying is, we bring the tanks down where they can be comparable, right? So that you can actually, there's an angle to forcing Monkey, right? Where he doesn't just get blown up as soon as he tries to go in, right? And the way we do that is by bringing some of these a little bit more oppressive damage upfront tanks. You know, like tank busters like Orisa, and tank busters like Morga.
Yeah.
Bastion does play a role, 100%. Don't nerf Winston then. What is that? We're nerfing the top, not what's currently not good. That makes no sense.
I just, like we said, Winston never got nerfed. I think if we like seriously.
No, because you're not understanding. Because then you're saying we're nerfing these characters to below Winston. Who said we're doing that? Like, you have decided that that's what we're going to do, is we're going to nerf them below where Winston is.
I can't do another Winston meta. I just can't.
No, but like, yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we're taking the edge off of these tanks, right? Or should take the edge off of these tanks. I'm not saying we need to, like, make them so that Winston can just dive and never die and stay in the backline forever. That's not what I'm saying. Of course they should be able to pressure Winston. Duh! Especially if they dive in an angle where, like, you know, they are taking pressure from that tank and not just the enemy backline, right? 100%. But no one ever said we were going to nerf them down to that point, right? We need to take the reason why they're power creep off. We need to take the power creep away, not nerf them baseline to be useless. Right?
Yeah.
Those are two different things. You very quickly assumed that we were gonna obliterate them and then Monkey was gonna run rampant in your games.
Okay, maybe I was basing it a little bit off what I believe Blizzard would do as well, where it's like, we suggest...
That was the real scenario.
Yeah, that's the real scenario, is we just go back to Winston meta and I want to stop playing the game again. I'm sick of the same metas taking place season after season. And I think most of the community also agrees with that.
Competitive. The competitive lab community, yes.
Okay, the higher end of the competitive community will agree with that. The lower end probably never even experienced the Winston map. But yeah. I don't know. I can't deal with it again. I just can't.
See, I don't base stuff based on whether or not I can deal with it. I base off of what makes sense, because in reality there is no saying what Blizzard will do. Chances are they won't do anything smart. Maybe they will do something smart. Maybe they've been listening a lot to the community. Maybe they've been listening to Spylo. Maybe they haven't. We can't predict that. The day that they start listening will come unannounced.
No.
Is that tomorrow? Is that Tuesday? We don't know.
Hopefully.
Is it never? We don't know. Right, we don't know. So what I am just basing this off what I think it should be, right?
Yeah.
I'm not so afraid about the game in any way, shape, or form. So
I am. It terrifies me.
I
have nightmares about it every single day.
I'm not qualified to talk about that. You need to find someone else to talk to that woman about. I'm not qualified for the monkey winter nightmare dreams.
You had me play that
someone
hero
say
so much.
Peanut butter?
Well, no, you didn't have me play that hero, but you know what I mean.
I helped you with it, yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Next topic. Final topic.
Copa of the week.
Copa of the week. Yeah.
Is that demolish?
Okay. All right. Copa of the week this week comes from Overwatch Anonymous. It is a haven for all Copas. Surprisingly, when I first came up with this segment, every day was always just a new Copa on this page. I don't know if
has been some better takes. Recently, there has been some better takes.
There's been some better takes, and there's a lot less people just crying on there, which is what it used to be. Was just people crying.
Also,
about the state of the game.
Often you'll go into the comment, and in the first few top comments, there are some people pointing out why that is bullshit. But
extremely based individuals in the comments. I've got to admit. But Overwatch Anonymous did provide this week.
Good one.
Reliable.
A reliable one.
So, garbage players liked goats because mentally AFKing on brain dead heroes was the meta. There was literally no thought. It was death ball with training wheels. If you held down M1 and didn't roleplay Dora the Explorer, you were valuable.
Yeah.
This is a DPS player who did not like goats. That is a fact.
I mean, we don't know that, to be fair. We don't know that, right? But that's speculation. I'm gonna call speculation one. No, that's speculation. That's speculation on your part. You have no valid proof of that.
No.
But what we do have valid proof of is this person didn't actually understand goats.
No.
Because goats is one of the most macro intense, highest skill ceiling compositions we have probably ever had, really. Like, it is right up there with some of the most technical dive types we've had, right? If not higher, probably higher.
Yeah.
In terms of how far does this comp go? Because yes, you're right. In gold, plat, probably even diamond, but less so as far as you go, right? Was this a meta of like pure power? But let me ask you something. If you're mirroring goats into goats, do both teams just win? Do both teams just lose? No, obviously there's a skill expression, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, one of them is executing it better than the others. I think one of the things in goats that might have been difficult is that sometimes understanding the macro of that matchup, because there's so many small interactions in goats, which is why a lot of people liked it at the higher end, right? People didn't like it for 2 years. Let's be clear here. Most people liked goats. People just didn't like it for 2 years. It should have been a half a year experience at most. At most. Probably less than that.
I would argue that that's how all metas should be. I wouldn't even say how.
Do you personally know of any of the like macro things with goats, because we can talk a little bit about the macro of goats and like what actually had to go into it.
I was not a player during goats. I owned the game. I'd been playing since season 8, but I wasn't like consistently playing the game. I don't think I played competitive between season 8 and 20. So I never like fully experienced goats. I do know that I love watching like the ult combinations were always fun, and like it was always like the Brig bashing the Reinhardt and timing up the shatter perfectly and stuff, and like the grav into Diva bomb. I loved watching those compilations. Those are always amazing.
Exactly. So I think a lot of people don't understand that there was so much ability macro. So the ability macro from goats came based off of ultimates, right? Because like in like neutral with no ultimates, it was a lot of like there's a strict pattern of like discording, a target, pushing your Reinhardt in heavily, farming charge and desire, getting desire into like this mobile unit, right? That can be sped around and do a lot of damage, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the big differences between like low tier and high tier, like goats, is like how much damage does the Reinhardt versus desire, whereas in low tier, the Reinhardt, because a lot of people was like, Reinhardt was so fun in goats, you would walk in and swing all the time. I was like, no, you would not. Desire would have more damage than you, and you were actually used more for your utility. But that's a different story. Also, a difference between like how much damage the Zenyatta would do versus like in low elo.
Damage would always be insane.
Not in low elo, so like one of the big differences between low elo and high elo is how much damage that Zenyatta gets out.
I never actually played during goats, but I played I remember just before Overwatch 2 came out. I played in a tournament where they reverted all the changes that had happened since goats. So it was like you were literally playing old goats again. And the Zen would always be top 3 damage in the team. And maybe it was just because the rest of us weren't that good at our roles, or the Zen was just cracked. But the Zen would be like top 2 every time, pretty much. With ridiculous numbers.
I mean, damage should definitely be higher, so that is perhaps indicative, but also a small sample size, right?
Yeah.
With specific individuals.
Yeah, anecdotal, but that's how I roll.
Anecdotal. That's fine. I mean, I remember some of it a little bit, right? So, but there's also a lot to be said about like ultimate interactions. I said like, and also throughout the years of goats meta, and we're just talking about Zen goats here, like the predominant one. We're not talking about like oats or floats or we're not talking about like potential like hack goats, which I don't know, that was only a thing in ranked for a while, I think. The pros never really. Yeah, with Sombra.
Didn't Shanghai Dragons run that?
I think they did. I just don't think it ever really worked.
They like, oh no, they did triple DPS, didn't they? They did triple DPS ball.
Oh yeah, right. There was some triple DPS. There was some counter attempts, right? None of them really worked. But we're talking about the Zenyatta goats, which is Reinhardt, Diva, Saya, Lucio, Sen, Rick. That was the Sen goats, right?
Yeah.
And in that specific like hero meta, there was so many changes throughout the years of how this meta was played, because like the whole like graph interaction as well. The thing about graph is like graph neutral got nothing. Like you can't graph neutral, because if you graph neutral, you just transcendence and nothing dies. So then we need something that can cut through the transcendence, right? Which is the Diva bomb, right? So you would now the meta became to put the Diva bomb in the graph. But then, like, obviously the Reinhardt will just shield off the bump, yeah? So how do you deal with that, then? Then, Brick used to have shield bash that went through shield. So Brick would actually have to go and then shield bash the Reinhardt so that the bomb could get value into the graph. And now, all of a sudden, we are no longer talking about a brain dead meta, but where like each individual actually have substantial roles that they need to do, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the fights. There are then it changed at one point as well, right? Because then they changed Brick so that Brick can't stun through shield anymore. So then now the meta became that Brick had to like move herself around, so like you would commit speed, and then with speed Brick could move herself around the graph and then like do it from behind, right?
I thought it
So that
became
you'd
Ryan had to pin the enemy Ryan out of grav, so he couldn't shield anything.
you would do that sometimes. But the brick shield bash from behind was used a lot as well. Situational, but used a lot as well. And then there's even more where it was like splitting, like perfectly splitting, where you would grab and you would have the bomb placed essentially in the middle of where the Reinhardt shield would be, so that there's like either side of the bomb. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that no matter what, some people would get killed by it.
Yeah.
There's so many iterations as well. I think I forget which of the teams it was, but one of the teams would infamously do like a high diva bomb above the graph, because then the Reinhardt had to shield up, and then the Brick could shield. Yeah, or just shield bash, right? Because you could shield bash the Reinhardt then from any angle.
It was famously Shock versus Vancouver Titans.
Probably that,
like,
yeah.
It was like literally
interactions were getting clever and clever by the. We reached perfection at one point, but like it got clever and clever as we went on.
That exact interaction happened where I can't even remember who played Zarya for Shock at the time. Sinatra probably.
Yeah, he was on Zarya, I think.
I can't remember. Honestly, I can't remember the players. But Shock get caught in a full 6-man grav, so they pop Transcendence to live, and then Vancouver Titans throw the bomb over the top, but then Super shatters 5 players. No, it's such a famous clip where like literally all like all 6 tank ults get popped in that one fight, and the interaction is just so intricate of like how one team ended up winning. I'm pretty sure it was Shock versus Vancouver Titans, and I had no idea what was going on when I watched it. I was just like, this is just a mess of Overwatch. But now that I can I do appreciate just how clever the teams are, because it isn't just like a mess of Overwatch ults.
It's not a mess. It's a mess in low elo where you don't apply the macro, but that will always be the case. Dive in Plat has nothing to do with dive in Overwatch League, because you're not staging anything, you're not scouting anything, you're not playing for like a common like resource force or pincer onto a specific target. The coordination isn't there. You're just playing a bunch of characters that, because in Plat, characters get to live a lot longer than they should, because coordination on the enemy team is not there either. It's like your monkey will go in and just be there, and then your tracer will arrive like halfway through the fight, and then you happen to get a kill. It's like, you have not played dive here. You could have done this with any other character. Like, you've copied the characters of a very, very coordinated high tier team, and you've done something similar-ish. You've tried. It's a poor imitation, is what I'm going to say. It's a poor imitation. So the thing is, like, if you actually took the time to learn the macro and climb during GOATs, you would have found these intricacies with your character into the meta matchup. And you would have found out that actually I can apply, even though it seems chaotic because there's so much healing and damage flowing around in health pools, right? It seems like it's just random. It's not, because you're leveraging those abilities and strengths to do better, right? So it's also like one of those things where it's like, so many people have someone asked me, like, why do they always pop Transcendence in Graph if they know the threat is going to be the bomb anyway? Well, I'm gonna answer that. If you don't transcendence into the graph, they don't even need to commit the bomb. They can just run you over and kill you. So if they didn't have trans and you got graphed, you wouldn't commit bomb. There's no need to. You can just run them over.
Yeah, and then you just shatter bomb, I assume.
No, you don't even need it. You don't need anything.
No,
you don't need
I mean, like, you save the bomb for a shatter bomb combo.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yes, you could do that. Yes. Shatter Bomb was also used quite a bit. Where, what you do, for those who don't know Shatter Bomb. Because, again, I remember at the time I was coaching a team. And they said, we've been trying to do Shatter Bomb and we can't get them to work. And what they were doing is they would shatter them. Like, they would try to land a shatter and then land a bomb. So, like, they would get shattered and then they couldn't get away from the bomb. And I told them, that's not the way you shatter bomb. The way you shatter bomb is you bomb first, but you deliberately put the bomb behind them, because this way, when Reinhardt is in the front line, he has to push to the back line and shield off the bomb. And then you shatter. So they either eat a bomb or they eat a shatter. You pincer them with a shatter and a bomb. That's how you do a shatter bomb. Right?
Yeah.
And when they started doing that, they just started actually like rolling plat scrims with goats. Because like in plat, people like don't understand how to actually do that. It's such a tiny thing, even at the time. But it just shows there's so much more intricacy in the whole ordeal than people thought. Even going into like the modern brawl, as well as like people still didn't know how to shatter bomb. People still thought you would shatter and then bomb, and I've always been like, no, put the diva bomb in the back line so that they have to look at it and do something about it, and then the shatter comes, because they can't deal with both threats. It's the strength of it.
It's just a lack of appreciation, which I think a lot of players
100%.
A lot of players have that sort of like level of, because you don't, obviously nobody is expecting anybody to understand. If you're not an owl coach or an owl player, you know, like even the casters and the desk analysts don't understand
all of the intricacies. No.
Yeah, they don't understand it. Which it's nothing to go against them. It's just, it's insane. Like the level that they play at is crazy. And I think you get it a lot. In the game in general, just people hating on compositions. I know I do it. I hate playing against Roadhog because he just hooks me on repeat. Like, and I'm gonna be like, oh, it's just no skill. He's just hooking me. But there is a skill expression there, and it's the same. I mean, it's not quite the same with Morga right now, but it is the same with Morga right now, where people are saying that there's no skill to it. Obviously, there is a skill. There is a skill to playing the hero in the matchup and stuff, because if there was no skill to it and everybody always wins, then how could the enemy Morga lose and stuff? But I've learned a lesson. I've learned a lesson on goats. You can't. I hear stories about it, and I'm just like, I wish I could have been there to experience it now, because like, I wish I could have been there to experience it with a coach like you, because it sounds like so much fun having the tank partnerships and not being a complete idiot at the game.
And goats was definitely fun. I still to this day like goats to an extent. And I have played it in box as well on private servers with the remake code for it for Overwatch 2, 6v6 OG goats, and it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
Was it bad with the remake code for Overwatch 2?
It feels a little off still. I'm not entirely sure if everything got changed the right way, per se.
Yeah.
But it was the closest experience we will get to it, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's close enough. It had the intricacies, right? And these scrims were like with mostly like masters and a few GMs, right? So to take the level with a pinch of salt, and then obviously me, who was like a diamond tank. So
You get stopped.
No, actually my team won quite a lot.
I hate you so much, man.
What? Why?
You know why? I was playing in a GM/master scrim. My team won quite a bit.
The teams were like shuffled up a lot. Like it's a puck, right? It's not scrim, it's a puck. But yeah, we did win quite a bit.
Sick of you, man. Sick of you. Anyway, you just wanted to brag about that.
You asked! You asked! I was never gonna mention that.
You just wanted to brag. You're always gonna bring it up.
What? This guy's delusional. This guy is.
You were always gonna
this guy is off his rocker.
Always gonna bring it up.
This guy's off his rocker.
Always gonna bring it up. You were just like, I know he's gonna ask, so I'm just gonna save it because you are. I'm not even gonna give you the satisfaction of saying what I was about to say about you.
I would never have mentioned anything about winning
Lies. Lies. He's lying.
I do many things, Mr. Rowan.
And
lying is not one of them.
You just said lying is one of them. Okay, anyway, that's the end of the podcast.
Do not be misled. Do not be misled. Rowan is.
That's the end of this podcast. That's the end of this.
Do not be misled.
That's the end of this week's podcast.
GG. See you in the next one, lads. Laddies.
Ladettes.
Ladettes, then.
Alright. Thank you for watching.